There's the. So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for coming and sharing this moment. We're gathering not only for art, but for purpose today. Under the banner of Fall of Freedom, we stand together in creative resistance, because when freedom of expression is under threat, art becomes our voice, our shield, our sanctuary. This weekend, all across the United States, theaters, cinemas, galleries, museums, comedy clubs, bookstores, schools, campuses, and more cultural spaces are staging events that celebrate artistic expression. We live in a time when dissent is punished, truth is twisted, and silence can seem safe. Yet here you are. You chose to show up. You chose to listen, to feel, to think, and to act. This is why we must resist. Because our freedoms to speak, to question, to create, to love, and to live without fear are not privileges. They are rights, earned, defended, and carried forward by all of us. When we forget them, they fade. When we remember them, they rise again. So I ask this of you, keep freedom alive. Whether you're an artist, librarian, a technologist, or a truck driver, a nurse or a banker, a teacher, a student, or a parent, you have a role in this. Every person who speaks honestly, creates bravely, or simply refuses to look away is part of this movement. No act of courage is too small, because art, truth, and our stories matter. You must ask the questions that fear cannot answer. You must tell the stories that power cannot erase. You must imagine the futures that oppression cannot destroy. As you leave today, carry that spirit outward. When we act together, our words cannot be silenced. When we stand together, freedom stands taller. Thank you for standing with art and freedom and with each other. So I think I want to ask Hila to come up and read first, and then I'll just introduce each poet. I think we have 3 poets, and then just go with it. All right, Hila, thank you.
I apologize for being a little late and for getting my phone, which I could not call you to tell you I was running 4 minutes late.
No worries.
Okay, well, thank you so much for organizing this, Bryan, and for everybody showing up. I thought I was going to have new poems about the stuff that's been happening, like in our neighborhood and around, but I just have not been ready to write about that yet. So, we'll read some other stuff. So I'm going to read one poem from my book, There Are Still Woods, which mostly deals with climate change. But this one was written, I think, the day after the 2016 presidential election. And I was living in Philadelphia at the time, and just had a moment when we were driving on the highway and I saw the moon kind of rising, and the image of it sparked this poem, which is somehow also in response to that moment. How It Happened, November 2016. When the moon falls out of the sky, we stop our cars by the side of the highway and open our mouths. The light pours through our fingertips. We glow in the dark with rage. Lit by our own insides, we search for the ones still covered in darkness. We light up trees with our touch, place our hands on mammals we used to hunt. No need for food now that we're plugged into the fire left over from the sun. The silver settles within our blood. We lift our hands to the ink-dark sky to dog-ear the night. We will want to remember how it happened, that the scenery held in place by such thin and fraying strings came crashing down, not with a thud, but with the tinny sound of spilled light, and how we didn't see it coming, nor did we expect the light to land in the rivers of our throats. How quickly the sky was done with its light, and how fitting our bodies were to catch it and turn it to song. Okay, so my newer stuff has been in response to what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I'm Israeli American. I've become involved as a peace activist with Israeli and Palestinian peace activists here and also abroad. So as part of that, in parallel, I've been writing poems of witness, which are really just witnessing the horrors and trying to respond in poetry. So I will read a few of those. The sky does not witness. For Rachel Goldberg Poland and all the mothers of Israel and Palestine, September 2nd, 2024. The squirrel rolls a pawpaw fruit in its mouth, green, whole, trying not to drop it as she scurries away. The clouds pause in a blue sky they don't know is blue. The sky does not witness this. There is a screen between me and the world. The weather is perfect. First pleasant day in weeks. No humidity. Evergreen. The neighbors' chickens still declare the day, this day, another one. Bumblebee lands on the cushion beside me. I can't move from my seat, can't feel the gentle air. I have watched the video of a mother telling her boy, before burying him in the ground, he is now free. She says finally, over and over, incantation to a God trapped in a tunnel. I hear the wails of every mother searching for a child in the rubble, in a tunnel, in a uniform, on a soccer field. Child called collateral, child called soldier, driving a tank, crouching beside a tank, gathering water from a puddle of mud. What a day for sunshine. What a day for a play date. They are back in the house, my boys. At least they were. I've been out here so long I could not move. Today is a holiday. We have nowhere to be. My boys are home. They are playing hide and seek in the house. I need to find them. So this one, yes, it did print on both sides, good. This one is a poem that responds to a daily email that I signed up for from Haaretz newspaper, which is the main left-wing newspaper in Israel. And so there was a daily, there still is a daily email series about what's happening. And so the series is called What You Need to Know, and each day has a day number. So this is called What You Need to Know, Day 600. 1. Leave the email unread. Undo this day like a knot in a child's sneaker. Don't read the headline. Reverse the terrible procession of facts and days. Let the email glow there, blue and bold. Rest hand on laptop, smooth as an untouched cheek. The urgent words hum themselves to sleep. 2. What you need to know. The numbers, the place names, the testimonies, the refusals, the negotiators, the slogans, the faces, the blood and the glass, the fire and the fire. Each day awaken, perform the ritual click and read, click and read. 3. What you need to know. Why summer dares to return. Why birds erupt in a frenzy for the found worm. Why the rain won't participate in my protest as I stand in the middle of the garden with my handmade sign. Peace is possible. A whisper to no one. Parched grass needling my bare feet. 4. The sky echoes the thunder of the day's new bombs, shuns the dust it swallows. The old laughing evergreen who's seen everything won't explain. Summer's last hydrangea tips under the weight of the frantic bumblebee. Okay, last one. Thank you for listening. Petition, May 1st, 2024. The birds sing like they've never heard of war. I sit among the sounds. Soil loosens the iris bulb, makes way for sharp leaves to accuse the sky of its bombs. I cultivate the garden, pull vines that choke the magnolia, but leave one spot by the side of the house, where dandelions spread and bare yellow throats to the air. Whoever said silence is golden has not pressed their ear to the mulch and heard the roots creep, ground, crack, yellow burst from green, has not heard buried prayers break through rough soil, begging the bees to come and drink. I can't speak for us all, I say to the wind, but that doesn't mean I can't speak at all. Though the birds are too busy, too loud to listen, I will file my report, sign the petition, written in the air. In this garden, there is room for us all.
Thank you, Hila. That was awesome. I have only really before today met Hila, so the other two poets are total new to me. So, Carla, do you want to come up and introduce yourself and read for us? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carla Barger. I'm an Igorot poet and professor. Before I start, I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming out, and thank you to the organizers of this event, both nationally and here in our little town, and thank you to the other poets as well. And I want to say a very special thanks to my wife, who is here, who has been coming to my readings for 21 years. She's amazing. And I also want to take a quick moment to express how freaking proud I am to be a Chicagoan and an Oak Parker, and how proud I am of the way we've all sort of come together to protect one another during this uncommon crisis. I have immense gratitude for our activists and for our mayors and for our governor. Yeah. So my work is mostly elegiac. I work a lot with eco-poetics and rural poetics. I have 4 poems for you today that speak in different ways to resistance and resilience, history, memory, and silence. One of poetry's primary functions is commiseration in grief, to make people feel seen, so I hope my work accomplishes that today. This first poem is called Sympathetic Contract. You will notice throughout my work that birds are one of my primary symbols. Birdsong represents, for me, not just transcendence, but also resiliency and voice, right? So my hope is that this poem reminds us all that to remain hopeful is to remain. Sympathetic contract. I'm told I can't write about birds anymore. I'm told it's cliched to write about hearts. Instead, I must fold these things into fists until my knuckles are like pebbles in a cold creek bed, colorless white, worn smooth by incessancy. I must be careful when writing about flowers, best to leave the blood-pricked roses in the garden or in the orderly stacks of the library, where one winter day I sheltered in place with two young women for whom an active shooter drill was as mundane as the coyotes that stalk urban alleys for survival. This is between me and you. My throat is a babbling brook feeding cattails and beak grass, refection for mourning doves. Let's not learn to live in a world where teeth long to tear song from flesh, where shooters crouch in the underbrush. Let me offer you this bouquet of meadowsweet, a flock of finches warbling in a wide open sky. Let me offer you this impending twilight, not as sunshine darkening forever into a noxious night, but twinkling with metaphors, a heart quickening for starlight. The second poem was written during this current administration's first tenure, uncannily enough, the summer before COVID. Find it helpful sometimes to think about violence, all kinds of violence, not just as a moral crisis, but also as a sort of pathogen that is spread by bad actors and disinformation. It's called Epidemic. Smoke drifts from piles of burning leaves and bed sheets, moves across the fields like ghosts, but we are still here, so far, flesh and blood, but swaddled in fear and ill with want, for love, for a landscape engulfed in compounding plagues, Confederate flags flapping at half-mast, billboards proclaiming hell. We cultivate gardens of foxglove to ease the failing heart, land across which echoes our father's axe, shotguns in service of sport. This place used to mean something, but as flocks fall from the sky in winged spirals, we become exhausted, made wispy as steam, rising from a pot of soup for an unexpected virus out of season. Two more. This next poem is about the silence that surrounds the disenfranchisement of rural America. So I grew up on a horse ranch in Ohio, and I spent the last academic year teaching in the Great Plains and doing research for a digital project of mine on big ag, governmental policy, and farmer suicide rates. There are a lot of wonderful people out in the Great Plains, and I think it's important when we look at voting maps that everyone everywhere, right, remembers that late capitalism is designed to fracture and to obscure cause and effect for the benefit of those who are actively seeking to consolidate power. This is called double bind. Even when I was a kid, I knew breaking a horse meant breaking its spirit. That was before most of the neighbors quietly died of cancer or suicide, leaving fields half-fertilized and cows burdened with milk, and everyone wondering why they never spoke their pain. Horses have become a bad investment too, best to get out, fine by me. You always taught me never to conflate desire and bridle, although even I can see the reins kissing the poison-packed dirt as they drag beside you over fields smoothed barren by glyphosate. Now you can see for miles, no homesteads to obstruct your view. Let's talk about my shaky belief that all this devastation is no one's fault, that everyone is just working in a double bind, hoping one day it will break with a decisive crack, like boards too long in the sun, nails strained against the grain that have swollen with humidity, then contracted. Let's talk about lack sunk deep as a John Deere in a flooded field, about anger, yours and mine, useless as those leather lanyards still whipping against your thighs. I know it's too late to hope that history is a hallucination. Too much time spent in the Jimson weed behind the house. I know you can't unbreak a horse. But if I hand you this jackknife, will you cut yourself loose and speak? Okay, I wrote this last poem specifically for this event today. The first line of each stanza is taken from various communications I've received since February. I've taught at 2 different universities since February. I've met a lot of different people. It's been wonderful and confusing and a lot. Also, did I say wonderful? It's been, yeah. This is a little bit more overtly political than I usually write, so someone tell me how it is. Dear English teaching faculty, you may be questioned by law enforcement on campus. If you are approached, explain that you need the university's general counsel present. This country that trembles too much with history, a slow annihilation, suddenly swift, glass shattering on pavement. I'm notified. Learning platforms and teaching materials will be monitored. Professors are being added to lists. ICE cannot enter a locked office without a warrant. An eerie quiet has settled over my town. It's not just my office that's locked these days. I am always behind some kind of lock, dogged by mechanical clicks that seem like both covert communication and bolts sliding into place. Locked apartment, locked office, locked car, locked classroom, locked browser, locked, click, click. My nervous system is a galloping horse I cannot get under control. I cannot stand crowded spaces. I cannot stand to be alone. I am new at this kind of fear. My phone is always in my hand. Where are you? I am texting my wife constantly. Are you safe? Just let me know you're okay. I'm jittery, can't stop moving, walk circles around the apartment, unable to rest. I carry shame with me like a backpack. Here I am, the white woman falling apart. I tell my beloved, I don't know how people of color in America manage to get out of bed every morning. I say I am in awe. I think I have to make it through this. Instruct your students to check their CVIS status daily. If they are notified, they have 24 hours to leave the country. This is a sadness that is an emptiness, a blankness, a non-place where broken slowness speeds to trembling. Arab after Arab has disappeared. International students are too terrified to come to class. I am trying to plan ways to keep us safe. How do I keep you safe? Future, the entire trajectory of our lives after tallying the terribleness of possibility, the terror of what if. Spain, Portugal, Mexico, France, the Netherlands, not Canada. No one's getting into Canada, she says. She sees this is upsetting news and quickly adds, once you're out of the US, more ideas will come to you for escape. Your nervous system will recover. Instruct your graduate students to only carry copies of their documents and leave the originals with someone they trust. 3 traffic stops in 2 months as I drive back and forth South Dakota to Chicago. I assume it's my Illinois plates. Maybe. Or maybe Border Patrol surveillance algorithm has decided my life is just a series of suspicious driving patterns. I sit by the side of I-80 in Iowa, stare at a scraggly poplar propped up in dead mud. The longer I wait for the trooper to return with my documents, the more I wonder if the windshield is a mirror. Meanwhile, in Riverside, my wife sits on Harlem, being questioned by not 1, but 2 state troopers. Provide your students with a list of nearby legal services. Must keep beloved safe is all I have room for. On Substack, I read various guides. How to spot a state-sanctioned kidnapping, how to survive an authoritarian takeover. The latter explains the ways authoritarianism is designed to wear us down. The overwhelm is the point, it says, to keep us too exhausted to think logically or to organize. Systems will become too complicated to navigate until everything finally just grinds to a halt. This has been my lived experience since February. Days on hold with the Department of Education, 25 years of payments frozen, and no way to reach a human. Fill out the form online. We cannot process your form. I scream into the phone at the screen. My mind moves through glass. I am lacerated, nothing but sawtooth scars. Fill out the form online. Your form cannot be located. The guide advises tying up any loose ends that might signal weakness. I tally my vulnerabilities: school loans, sparse savings, chronic illness, COVID breakdown, humanities professor, artist, queer. I second guess tallying these vulnerabilities for this phone to be shared in public space. Mm-hmm. If you are approached on campus, repeat, "I'm sorry, I cannot help you." Do not accept or sign any documents. This tallying is how I spend my time now. If not with my mind, then with my body. By August, full inflammatory freefall. Like my industry, like my art, like our country, a terrible bloom spreads. My face, my chest, pain like thorns emerging from the inside out, evidence of some hidden violence. In hospital waiting rooms, I sob tearlessly reading an essay on my phone that says, "The American experiment is over." I listen to Sarah Wilson's TED Talk, How to Respond to Societal Collapse. She says, "We are not going to make it." Yes, here we are in a cul-de-sac where disenfranchisement meets unregulated, unfettered technology. I walk from the parking lot at the edge of campus to my classroom, my whistle tucked just under my collar. Blackhawks traffic above me, back and forth, beating the air all day. But so do crows, thrushes, cardinals. In the quad, I pick up a brilliant red maple leaf that sits so gingerly on the fading grass that seems to float. Inside my classroom, students make themselves small in their chairs. They're tired. We're tired. I hold up the leaf to the light. I say, "You are here." We breathe together. We are still here. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Scott Cunningham, come on up.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Scott. My family and I moved to Oak Park summer of 2024, so just like 15 months ago. This is the first time I've read in Oak Park, so thanks for having me. It's great to read with you both. Thank you so much. We moved here from Miami. I'm a native Floridian, so I mostly write about Florida, which, as many of you probably know, everything bad that they try it first in Florida, and then it goes everywhere else. So we're well experienced with everything that goes on, and with fascism and authoritarianism. So I'm going to read 3 poems of mine and then one by somebody else. So this poem is from my first book. It's about the Salem witch trials, unfortunately irrelevant again, as they always manage to be. It's about the only witch that was killed by being pressed to death, Giles Corey. The reason they pressed him to death and they didn't burn him was because they wanted him to confess. Because if he confessed, then they could legally take his land, and he was a large landowner, so that was the whole gambit. And so they tortured him for a really long time, and he never did confess. And his last words are the last line of the poem. Giles Corey. In Massachusetts, they made a pile of stones to lay one by one onto his chest. With each stone they placed, they asked, like game show hosts, "Do you confess?" When he refused to respond, they got angry, like cops taking off their jackets. "Do you understand the stakes, Giles? Do you realize the wealth of stones God has given to this township?" "We can do this all day," they said. And by not answering, Giles held them to it. Killing him was like being at a dinner party at which the host refuses to go to bed. People excused themselves to go to the bathroom. They got hungry and ordered out. They dozed off and woke up inside the soft glow of the television. After a day and a half, no one could remember the right order in which things happened. No one had thought to keep track of what went first or who did what. The world started to resemble a pile of stuff they'd floated into by accident. Whose absence is this, they wondered? Are we its creator or its instrument? In the beginning, there was nothing, and God said, that's not enough. And then there was the stone pile Giles looked up from under. There was the sky above him, and soon it began to change colors, brown to red to black. It was a thing he could control by blinking his eyes. Every breath arrived like a letter. His head had become a kind of stone. More weight, he said. I'm going to read 2 poems about trees. Those are my birds. Trees are my birds. And specifically, they're 2 mango trees. From my mango trees are everywhere. We're just overloaded with mango trees. So I thought about them because I think they're on some level metaphorical. I don't think on the surface they're poems of resistance, but maybe they are. So this first one is called The Mango Tree Hanging Over the I-95 Retaining Wall at Northwest 65th Street. So if you're driving down I-95 in Miami, there's a huge mango tree that hangs over right at Northwest 65th Street. And every few years they cut it back, but then of course it grows right over the wall. And so it does this amazing thing where it drops mangoes onto the highway. It's one of my favorite things. The job of the wall is to keep the noise of the engines from pouring into the houses on the other side. The job of the tree is to grow over the wall, to reach up and eat the sun it uses to make the fruit that for 3 weeks in June hangs over the road like traffic lights, colors changing slowly from the cusp of night to the shade of noon. No one ever picks these mangoes, but the tree keeps making them. It doesn't need a beneficiary for its blessing, dropping them without warning on the edge of the asphalt, where they break and bleed out their juice into a permanent shadow, the highway like a piece of paper onto which the tree draws a picture of itself. And this one is called A Mango Tree with a Decorative Face on the Trunk. I used to take a lot of walks in Miami, and this is a tree I came across that someone had just made a face on the trunk of the tree. And I happened to see it after this like really difficult year in my life, where I was mostly depressed for an entire year. A mango tree with a decorative face on the trunk, Northeast 94th Street. I know that look, plastic eyes, a mouthful of rope. I watched it in the mirror for a year after my seizure, the medication I took dimming each day's light to a pinhole. Now I take walks through the neighborhood, the bay, a kind of animal whose body sways between the houses. The May heat blossoms on my skin, wrenching the colors from the mangoes, each one bulbous as a circus tent. In an empty lot where someone once lived, a dice throw of iguanas sun themselves on cement, and the morning dies beneath the weight of its brightness. The amount of hope I feel stops me in the street. And then I'm going to end with a poem by a Miami poet that I really loved. She passed about 18 months ago. Her name is Maureen Seaton. She was a really fierce person and an incredible poet. So I thought this was like the best thing I could bring from Miami to you all, because I really, really miss her. The poem's called Sweet World. Wonder what I'd be today if I was still married to my Wall Street husband, besides married to a Wall Street husband and puking gin in a silk sheath at Delmonico's. I might be a blonde size 4. I might be a secret Democrat or a weekend lesbian. This morning, 5 planes flew over the yard in a V as I was about to dig into a pile of lavender pancakes al fresco. The V flew low and slow. It flew loud and ominous. It alarmed me, sounding a lot like the war movies of my 50s childhood. My cranky chihuahua was proverbially biting at flies, and I was sitting there not thinking about hate. Recently, I experienced life with cancer, an intoxicating time, richly infused with the liquor of death, but good too, because no one expected much of me, and I was left to my own mind, which is what I'm missing most these days. Unless that's it over there, screeching on 2 wheels around the racetrack. Today I typed nos instead of song, and I wondered if it was some new app designed to mess with me. I've never thought to call the world sweet before. A nemesis can do that for you, make things taste different. Suddenly, you're a heroine. All this devastation, and you're still standing in the middle of it. Thanks.
All right. I think I neglected to introduce myself at the beginning. I'm Bryan Northup. Just jumped right in. I'm the executive director here at the Oak Park Art League. I'm a visual artist and I write poetry. So I'm going to read a couple here real quick. Lately I've been writing a short little poem every Halloween. I don't know why it is, but this was this year's Halloween poem. One last fake fright. Red hat, yellow hair, tiny orange hands, comical, buffooned doom, doles out huffs of AI hate by Halloween ballooned. Treats for the innocent and weary, offer wreckage, tricks only. As tufts of breath, you're fired, smoke from the ruins of our wing, fang demolished, for a dance. Bloody shocks, again nothing kept happening. Deranged, hostage country, camoed zombie goons grab, frost smash, windows masked and hungry for a quota. Wait for winter to crunch the grid, goading chaos, smells like a bag of candy, a bag of cash. This one is called Will I Know When to Run? I escape to you, field of words yet written, pulled like weeds with gemstones in their roots. The graves of our family are still there. Memories of births and upbringings blotted in a snowdrift of ash. We ghost. Photographs all happened in that land we took for granted, that country where I am uncomfortable now to call myself a native. The names of childhood streets, first pets, best friends, kisses and summer camp swims, let me on, growing rows of clever turns and stanzas for a shield. This home where I can stay no longer recognize the thought of inking on and wandering awkward across a barren page bequeaths at times a fragrant memory. From another shore I sense what the moon must smell like, just as easily as I can recall how the sunset in the backyard with a beer once tasted. The weight of us, no matter the style of war, into turf we all incrementally sink. What's left is still warm, a corpse of embers from the fire, dumpstered glow. The now whats and it'll waits, granite slabs cannot anchor. Waters raise, the names occlude, wilted petal fates. And then this one I wrote 7 days after January 6th, so it's processing all that. It's titled Not Completely Divided. Swirled at the center in a purpled poison smirk, this imperiled nation, not completely divided. Now that we've voted, can we see? One body is reddish, one is bluish, pulsing and growing independently, each surviving with half a brain, half a heart, one lung, one eye, a thin strip of truth under all the lies, is sliced each time the pendulum swings, then heals over in a fragile scab, still joined at the dream. Fed on untruths, hatred, a birthmark left exposed, mashed together, incubating an autoimmune attack, each with its own organs of justice and liberty, some stronger, some weaker than its other. One is named death camps, one is named democracy. Now that we've weathered that Wednesday in Washington, we know what we are. But can we make the state of America united? So as long as we're all here, does anybody else have poems that they want to read? We can do a little open mic. Okay, cool.
Are you wanting her to say something?
Oh, if you want
Yeah.
to.
There's
You want to.
somebody from the,
This is Diane. She's a member here and knows somebody from Fall of Freedom. So
yeah. Hi, I'm Diane Ponder, and I heard about this through somebody was one of the coordinators of the event. It's a national event.
Fall of Freedom.
Yes, right there. I'm trying to see if she can speak now. I can call her once I get a yes. She was basically, I think, going to give a little bit of the parameters of what their intention was in bringing this together. But I think everybody probably has a pretty good idea of their own intentions.
So is she in Brooklyn? Is that where?
She's from Brooklyn,
Okay.
yeah, and she's working with people who are mostly from Brooklyn. I'll give her a call, see if she answers. Otherwise,
We're gonna FaceTime, right?
maybe she can send me something that she wants to say. I don't know. She was in the middle of Washington Square Park doing an event.
Hello.
Hi, this is Diane. Do you want to say a few words while I've got you on the line?
Oh, sorry, you broke up. Hi, this is Julia. I'm calling from New York.
Yes.
Hello, you're on speaker.
Am I on speaker? Hi.
Yes, you are.
Okay, I just wanted to send a message of solidarity from New York. I'm part of the core group of Fall of Freedom, so thank you so much for participating. I'm really excited to have the Midwest represented. I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, Gary, and it's great that we're having a lot of events happening in areas I'm from, and I think things like this, things that you're doing there in Oak Park, these are having probably a bigger impact than some of the things that we have going here. I'm here in New York City, because here we have a little more freedom to do public protest and do things like that. We're at home, or you're home to me. Back home it's a little hard, and you have to be a little more guarded for what you say and what you do. So I think it's really important for all of you who participated today and what you do from here on out. Helping fight censorship, helping fight, authoritarian things that are going on in our country. So, congratulations to you and the center and everything you're doing. So, like I just want to send out a message. I'm currently here in Greenwich Village, standing under the arch in Washington Square Park. We have a public sculpture here. We're getting ready to pack it up and head out to some other things.
That's so exciting. Can you send a photo of it I can share?
Yeah, I can send a photo. And one thing I do want to mention is your event, like many events we just started planning this about 2 months ago. And, we have over 700 events going on nationwide. And I think that's amazing. There's so many people right now, creatives, that just need to have some sort of solidarity. So if you get a chance and go on the map, see what other people are doing. It might inspire you to do something else in your community, or there might be another group or artist that you might want to connect with. Find them on Instagram and reach out and say, hey, I was in Fall of Freedom. I saw what you're doing. I like what you're doing, and connect. I think that's one of the main things we wanted to do with this, because we know we can't change the world, but we can.
The map is on the website, right?
Yeah, so the map is on the website. The website's going to stay up for a while. followfreedom.com, and that's where the interactive map of all the events that have gone on yesterday and that are continuing to go on today. And so Monday, we're actually having a meeting, and we're going to figure out what's next. So we may not be doing something like this, but we're going to do something to continue keeping creatives connected with each other and supporting each other, and seeing what happens. I mean, obviously, we can't predict what's going to happen with our government. It's a little crazy. But we just want to have some solidarity in times like now and moving forward.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing that photo of your work. And I'm really appreciative that you put this together with so many other people.
Yeah, and again, thank you for participating. And I saw some photos from your event, and I'll send some over. And also look at the Follow Freedom Instagram, because we've been doing live streams of other people's events across the country. So again, you can see what people are doing, look at the photos, and just see what everybody has been doing. It's been really powerful. So thank you again. Thank you for putting me through, and good luck with the rest of your event.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you heard the applause. Oh, she may have hung up. I'll tell her about it.
Hi, I'm Margery Parsons, and Dred Scott, who's one of the initiators of Fall of Freedom, is also a supporter of a movement called the Fall of the Fascist Trump Regime. They're in Washington this weekend, along with another group called Remove the Regime, surrounding the White House with crime tape and intending to come back again and again till the regime is driven out. And this movement and me feel like the people have the power to drive them out. It's been done in other countries, in South Korea, twice in a decade, that the power of the people, yes, I'm a 60s person, is still true. And this poem is in that spirit. It's called Mirror, Mirror, and it starts with a quote from Ursula Le Guin. We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable, but then so did the divine right of kings. When the rulers of this country look in the mirror, do they see the ghosts of Roman Caesars, the visage of a vanquished Führer, the mummified smiles of pharaonic boy wonders, the sun going down on the scions of British Empire, the divine right of kings in its spider-webbed sepulcher? How often was it nobodies everywhere, the faceless, the nameless, in desperation and hunger, inspired by visionary seers and leaders who rose like volcanoes as if out of nowhere, made earth-shaking changes, upended old orders, and from the impossible wrenched hope for new futures. Despite tribute and riches, power and plunder, all empires have finally gone under. The stake, the spikes, the rack, reigns of terror have never held failing empires together. And one day, like dinosaurs that made the earth quiver, the era of empires will vanish forever.
I don't know if there's a better poem to end on, but anybody else has one? Okay, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the organizers of the event. I actually found out looking for information for one of my students, a poetry student. I work at Steinmetz College Prep at CPS. I am a poet. My name is Antwan McHenry-Belmer, and this poem comes from my fourth book. The name of it is called Karma. During this administration, the second time I've wrestled with issues around karma and reaping what you're sowing. So it is a poem of frustration. So here it goes. Can someone tell karma that it's taking all of the good people and leaving the bad ones out there? The people who hurt others are left to hurt more. They've given access to the highest offices in the land, eating caviar while telling others to eat dirt. Can someone tell karma they must have fallen asleep at the wheel? Legislation is being drafted to make the rich richer. Health care is being taken away from those who are sick and poor. Those struggling to make ends meet are now sleeping on the streets. Can someone tell karma that we now believe they're an illusion? We've held our breath till we are blue in the face. We've screamed out for justice and found none. We've cried our eyes out until they're bloodshot. We've turned our cheeks until our entire faces are bruised. Can someone, anyone, pull the curtain open and reveal that karma isn't truly there, but just someone pretending to be a wizard like in Oz? Thank you.
Anybody else? Last chance for the audience here. All right. Thank you all for coming so much. Come back and visit the Oak Park Art League. We would like to do more events like this. If you haven't been here before, and if you want to hang out and look at the art, please feel free to do that. Thank you.